if Tony Jones Jr. isn't the highest sub $1,000 player in the history of Showdown, as far as ownership goes, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Aren't you just gonna lock him in at $600 with no Mark Ingram, no Kamara?
I don't see how you can't, man. It doesn't make sense. Like if he's under 40%, then I'll just say Happy Thanksgiving to myself. Sorry guys, that was awful.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, $600, you just can't overthink it. Starting running back on a team that prioritizes their running backs in the pass catching game. I don't know, man. I'm not scared at all.
What are they supposed to do? Like, what else are you going to do? Like, not hand it off? Like, I mean, he's going to get some volume, no matter how you try and steer this conversation. You know what I mean?
At that price tag, I mean, if he gets you 10, 12 points, depending on how high scoring the game is, you're going to be okay.
I'll play a guy who's going to see the field at $600.
I know. If you've watched the show before, you know we're not scared of those guys. Those $200, $400 guys, $600 guys.
And, just while we're on it for main slate real quick, if you guys haven't adjusted yet, it'd be interesting too. Like, I have 60% DeAndre Swift. What is his ownership overall?
I think it's like 50 or 60% or something like that. He's pretty high owned.
I'm searching this right now. So he's 55.5% owned. David Montgomery is pretty high owned as well. So, like, if you guys switch off of Tony Jones or switch to Tony Jones in some lineups, you might be good. Some of these lineups are dead right now. Yeah, they're stuck.
Absolutely. So, absolutely, I agree. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. We appreciate it. If it's your first time joining us, we are usually doing Showdown football and basketball. Go ahead and throw us a like and a subscribe. It would really help us out. We're trying to hit 500 subscribers. We're a small channel trying to grow. We really appreciate just a click of a button. It would really help us out. Thank you so much. Let's talk about injuries. So, obviously, Ingram is doubtful. And, earlier today, the reason why I put Tony Jones in all my main slate lineups before lock was because we're seeing this new phrase of, uphill battle. He's got an uphill battle to play today. And once I saw that, I'm like, there's no way this guy's playing. Then a few hours later, it was announced that he's doubtful / not likely to play. So that's pretty much the biggest news, right? I mean, is there any other injury news that you're seeing on your end? I mean, obviously Kamara's out. So, and then, Ingram playing would have been a big deal, but he's out as well. Obviously, Michael Thomas is still out. Adam Troutman is also out. So there's just a ton of injuries from the New Orleans side of things. It's going to open up a lot of value and a lot of good options for you in order to put like a really high-owned guy at captain. Like if you want to put Josh Allen at captain, you want to put Diggs at captain, do it, because there's just so many other ways to get different. And there's a ton of value. So are you seeing anything else injury-wise on your end?
Nothing worth noting. I mean, the biggest injury that we needed to know about was Mark Ingram. We already knew that Kamara was out, and with Ingram being doubtful, unlikely to play, this opens up so much for the slate in general, just because Tony Jones is a free square. I was hoping that news would come out a little bit later because I expect his ownership to tick up because of it. But it is what it is. I'm going to have a shitload of him. Here's the one thing that we need to be mindful of roster construction here is because everyone's going to have that $600 guy in there, that sub 1K guy. That lineup build that's going to have all the studs jammed in there is going to be a lot chalkier than we normally would expect it. Yeah. So we're still going to have to find ways to get different. I think the way that we do that today is being willing to leave a little bit more salary on the table. So when I'm optimizing on a slate like this, usually I'll just cap. I won't have any $50,000 lineups. Right? That's one way to get really unique. Yeah. Now, I don't do that as much anymore. But this might be a slate to do that, where you just don't max out salary in any single lineup. So roster construction is going to be exceptionally important on this slate. Yeah, because everybody's going to go high price captain, especially with a slate like this where you have absolute studs like Josh Allen, who can Josh Allen. The chances of him being the optimal captain are so high because of his rushing upside and the fact that he can just absolutely crush a slate. I'm not going to be too like our earlier show. Like we were like, nah, Dak Prescott. We don't necessarily need to play Dak Prescott. Because, in my opinion, his upside is not nearly as high as Josh Allen with the rushing capabilities. You know what I mean? Right. So just play the guys that you feel are comfortable and try to get different in the flex. And I personally think that going middle range on some of these guys, like you don't, go with some of these wide receivers and even like
put in Dawson Knox and throw in Emmanuel Sanders. Like leave Stephon Diggs out of your flex every once in a while. Play Emmanuel Sanders. Play Knox. Play Gabriel Davis. Play, like that way you can just be a little bit different, but still have that high upside. All right. So let's look at some of these. Let's look at the Vegas line here. So Buffalo traveling to New Orleans. Buffalo got spanked last week. Jonathan Taylor-Thomas absolutely ruined their lives. They're going to be, look, I think they're going to come out swinging, man. I really do. And New Orleans is just injury-ridden. They don't have a quarterback. I mean, their backup, they're on their second/third string quarterback at this point. I mean, Trevor Siemian is starting. That's not a good sign. Now, he's not a terrible quarterback, but I just don't like their chances in this game.
He's not a starting NFL quarterback.
He never has been. So, right. Road favorites -7 on the road. That's a 45 total. The Saints only projected for 19 points without their best player. It's not looking good for the Saints, in my opinion. I don't think Buffalo's going to come out and lose the game again. We've seen crazier things happen. And like we said on our last show earlier today, this is still a Thursday night game. They're on a short week. Anything can happen. But I just don't see New Orleans coming out and blowing the roof off here. They may be able to keep it close, and I do want to get exposure to plenty of New Orleans guys, but Buffalo is going to win this game. I don't think you have to overthink it too much. That's my thoughts on it. Anything else to add to this? Does this line look right to you?
Yeah, this line looks right. The one thing that I do want to point out is Buffalo has been an incredibly good team against teams that aren't very good. The New Orleans Saints definitely fall into that category. I don't know why everyone's as high on them as they are. I see a lot of love going to the Saints. We've seen I don't know. I don't know how to describe kind of the stuff that I've been seeing, but I still think the Saints are a little bit more overrated just based on the fact that they have Sean Payton as their head coach. That being said, Taysom Hill is supposed to be the second best quarterback on this team, but they restructured his contract so that he can get a bonus based on whatever position he plays. Yeah. That doesn't sound like a move for a guy who's going to be playing much snaps at quarterback.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be an interesting way to approach this slate as well. And not to get too far ahead of ourselves, I think this is a slate that I'll have a little bit of exposure to him. Last time I didn't have him on a showdown slate like this, he fucked me.
Well, look, they don't have a true starting running back in this game. So we're going to see guys like Taysom Hill getting some random snaps at quarterback slash wildcat. We're going to see Ty Montgomery getting snaps at running back. We're going to see end arounds. We're going to see weird stuff today. There's no way they're going to just continue to run the same game plan without Ingram and Kamara. There's just no way. All right, so let's get into this breakdown, man. All right, so Josh Allen is 12.2K. He's expensive. Trevor Siemian is 10.2K. And Taysom Hill is 6K. Now, I really wish they would reclassify Taysom as maybe running back. I mean, yes, he is technically a quarterback, but he's not starting quarterback. He's coming in and playing different positions. I really wish they would reclassify him so they didn't have to just leave him at that backup $6,000 rate. But even at $6,000, I think I'm actually kind of a little bit interested in him. I think he can get a touchdown today, randomly. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, wasn't it the Thanksgiving slate 2 years ago? He had 2 or 3. I mean,
we've been his biggest fan. I mean, look, since we've been doing Showdown, we've been trying to get this guy in as much as possible, and now everybody knows about him. And now it's almost gone the opposite way. Now everybody doesn't want to play him again.
Now, there's going to be a random shout out, but I think his career, he owes most of his just household notoriety to Head Chopper and Big T. It wasn't until I was listening to their Showdown shows 4 years ago with Roto Grinders that I even knew who this guy was. And since then, I've been all over him, dude.
The pendulum has swung back to he's not popular anymore. Maybe we should think about playing him again.
Yeah.
Josh Allen is super expensive. There's look, in my opinion,
play him.
There's no reason to get fancy and okay, every once in a while we'll say, oh, you could fade Brady because maybe the game's out of reach, or oh, you could fade Mahomes because the game's out of reach. Josh Allen is the reason why the games are out of reach. He is the guy. If they're gonna win, he's going to go off. It's just gonna happen. So don't get too crazy with him. If you don't want to play him at captain, totally fine. I mean, I think I'm gonna have a lot of him at captain. That's no bold take. But put him in your flex. Just lock him in. In my opinion, Josh Allen, Tony Jones, just lock him into every single one of your lineups. That's what I'm going to do, and let the variations go from there. Trevor Siemian, 10.2K. Look, this guy is a little underrated. I don't think he's great, but look at his numbers. They're not terrible. If he ends up with 19 fantasy points in a game like this, he's going to be in the optimal. Unless this is like a 47-40 game or something. And if it is, he's still going to end up in the optimal most likely. So, right. I mean, he's getting, look at this. 29 attempts versus Tampa Bay was his lowest. And I'm pretty sure he came in backing up Jameis in that game, I think. But look at this, 41, 34, 40 attempts. He's going to be slinging the ball. But look at this, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. Not too bad. It really isn't too bad. He's got a rushing touchdown. So, look, I'm not afraid to, with the amount of salary we're going to have saving-wise, I'm not afraid to just also kind of plug him in as that other core guy. If you're going to fade one guy when it comes to quarterback, I'm okay with, a couple lineups without him. But if he's under 50% owned, I actually think that's too low. Don't you?
Yeah, I'm with you on this, man. Normally, if we didn't have a clear free square, I'd say, hey, you got to look at fading one of these guys. But this is just a day where I might just lock Jones, Allen, and Siemian and kind of let it roll.
Yeah.
Now, I may have a little less exposure just because I may not go full lock on Trevor Siemian just because I think this is an opportunity for the Buffalo defense to kind of have their get right game. Remember, they were the top defense in the league.
Yeah.
As long as they're not playing good teams. And again, I'm going to stand by the Saints are not a good team. So this could be an interesting situation to get a little different. I mean, I'm showing initial projections have Siemian plus 60% ownership.
Really?
So
okay.
Yeah, if that's even close to accurate, I think there is some free leverage just by fading him in 1 or 2. But again, like you're still going to be leaving a lot of salary on the table because you're probably playing Tony Jones.
Yeah.
But with that said, man, you could get the entire offense between Siemian and Jones. And I don't know how you don't do that.
And look, Siemian and Hill in the lineup together, I'm not scared of that either. I really not. And look, this team is projected for 19 fantasy or 19 real life points as a team.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're talking 2 touchdowns and a couple field goals, or maybe 3 touchdowns at most is what Vegas thinks that these guys are going to get on average. You got to think that Trevor Siemian is going to be responsible for 1 or 2 of those touchdowns. I mean,
look at his performance, dude. I mean, 10, 16, 19, 26. That's an upward trend if I've ever seen one. That's just a straight incline.
Yeah.
Now, even if you take away his rushing touchdown from last week, he still has 23 fantasy points, which is a week-over-week improvement of about 4, right? And so we see 6, 3, 4. I mean, I don't know how you don't play him.
And look, he's lost the last 3 games, and he's still coming up with fantasy numbers above 16 or 17 points. So
is he turning the ball over?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. He had 2 interceptions last week, and then he had a fumble in week 9, something like that. So, all right, let's move on from this. Bottom line is Josh Allen, lock. Trevor Siemian, play him a lot because I like his price and I like his upside. And you're going to need raw points, at least some raw points from New Orleans, and he might be responsible for a lot of those. Taysom Hill, don't be afraid to sprinkle him in and play him with Siemian too. It could work out that way. All right, so let's talk about running backs. You want to just start with New Orleans and get that over with?
Yeah, it's real simple.
All right, go ahead, dude.
All right, Tony Jones, $600. Play him. I'm not going to go into much more than that. His ownership projection on RG is still way under what I would expect it to be. It's still sub 50. He's $600. It's a free square. If he gets 0 points, which would be a mathematical anomaly, he's not going to kill you. He's just absolutely not going to kill you.
Especially if he's that high owned. I mean, you want to get leverage, but at the end of the day, you can still min cash or you can still make your money back.
Right. And again, like him getting 0 is a lot. Is not as bad as Josh Allen getting 12 points. Right. So if you're going to have chalk fail, that's the chalk you want to fail. So it's not even a risk. Just real quick, Dwayne Washington, Alex Arma. I don't mind taking random flyers. I don't think you'll need to, but if you want straight leverage on Tony Jones, this is a good way. We don't know how the offense is going to run. Dwayne Washington's a fast motherfucker. He could just pop one off and all of a sudden never see the field again.
Yeah.
Alex Armah could be the goal line back. He is a big physical guy. He did that in Carolina with CMC out for a while. So again, this is Sean Payton. Expect some weirdness. Don't be afraid to randomly stab these guys, especially if you're back centering.
I personally, if I'm looking to have any leverage on Tony Jones, let's just say I didn't like him for some reason today, which I don't, or I do like him. I would play. I'd play our boy over here, Ty Montgomery.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I honestly think Ty Montgomery is. This is just me guessing. Just watching a lot of football and watching Saints over the past few years. Ty Montgomery is going to be the backup in this game, and expect to see him lined up in the backfield, in the slot, quite a bit in a game like this. That's just my opinion.
He's essentially Cordero Patterson's like cousin.
Good. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dude. Like, so why isn't he just over there like, hey, Sean, why not me? You know what I mean? Like, he's gonna get some run. I think he has the opportunity.
And look, I know this sounds crazy, but like I built a couple lineups before the show, and Tony Jones and Ty Montgomery in the same lineup. I'm not scared to do it, and just jam in whoever the hell else you want. That will be a unique way to build. All right, so let's go to the other side here. Where are we at here? Buffalo. So this is a shit show, man. This is just garbage. I don't know what to do here. I'm going to make you talk about this because this is the worst backfield situation. Even some New England backfield situations were better than this, don't you think?
Yeah, man, I got you on this one. And look, it's difficult. Zach Moss has been not necessarily healthy as of late, so I think that's overall usage. The problem is Matt Breida seems to be the guy that they're using in his absence. He got 5 attempts last week, he got 2 targets. But I think it's going to be hard to kind of dictate the running backs based on what happened on Sunday. They got demolished by Indianapolis. They really had a rude wake-up call. I think you kind of just got to choose who you want between Moss and Singletary. Right now, I'm leaning a little bit more towards Singletary. His ownership is insanely low, which is definitely tied to the fact that nobody really knows who's going to get the touches.
Yeah.
But he's the more healthy of the guy between him and Zach Moss. So I think you just choose which one you like and you play him. Now, I also don't know. We'll get into this when we go to build with our lineups. I don't know that you need to play any of these guys.
Yes.
Just to be completely honest with you, like,
yes.
You may not need to. You got Tony Jones. You can just go play Stephon Diggs. Maybe you want to take a Manny Sanders revenge narrative, right? Like this is him coming back to New Orleans. Like there's different opportunities that we just have value over. Like you need to come up with a game script that you think that one of these running backs are going to be viable. And if you think that they're going to be viable, then you build around that. You're going to have the salary to do pretty much whatever you want. Now, one last thing is Zach Moss and Matt Breida, they're in the range of the kickers. I don't mind kind of just swapping out a kicker.
I'd rather be a kicker.
Yeah, like I don't mind, swapping out one of these guys for a kicker instead.
That's the first time you'll ever hear us say that.
Yeah. Now, one thing I want to keep in mind, Matt Breida is a fast guy. We saw last week the week before last week, he had a receiving touchdown. Pop went off. He does have a little bit of explosive upside, but he also fumbles and he tends to get hurt. So don't think too much about it. You want to throw a lineup with him in, feel free to do it. Again, I think that's, I know we're probably not going to have many fades on this slate, but if there's a place that we're going to unnaturally or just naturally fade, it's probably going to be the Bills running backs.
Yes, exactly. But I'm still going to sprinkle them in, but I'm not going to be too heavy on them. I don't think the field will be either. So just to give you some perspective here, last week doesn't necessarily count because it was just an ass whooping, but let's just look at snap-wise. Singletary's 37%, Zach Moss 31%, and Matt Breida about 30%. You go to week 10, which is probably the first week where we can actually look at it. That's when Breida had 2 touchdowns. He only got 14% of the snaps. Yep. He only ran 4 routes. And Singletary had 44% of the snaps, and Zach Moss 35%. And week before that, Singletary had 70%. So if I had to lean towards one guy, it would be Singletary. But I'm not confident in that. And I would say that Breida is a trap. Where's my sound?
It's a trap!
Because he had a good game, and he looked sexy a few weeks ago, but he's just not getting on the field enough.
Right, and his volume comes from Zach Moss's, whatever the hell is going on with him. I think he's sick or something. And, Singletary, to your point, is the guy that I think is going to be the favorite. But as soon as Moss is 100%, I have Singletary and season long, so I've been dealing and Moss actually my other season long.
Yeah.
So I've been dealing with this shit all year. And it looks like Moss is kind of the guy that's got the bump if he's healthy and good to go. But it's a short week. I think Singletary is the guy here. And I'm with you. I think Matt Breida is a trap.
Yeah, just be cautious with these guys and don't put two of them in the same lineup together. All right, so wide receivers, Stephon Diggs, 11.8K. I mean, look, how can you not want to play him? He's almost matchup proof. And in a game where they're heavily favored against a defense that's not necessarily good, I mean, right? I mean, how's New Orleans defense doing? Probably not good. Look at that 31st against wide receivers. That's not good.
The New Orleans defense is weird, man. Like some weeks they're good, some weeks they're not. Like they're a completely hot and cold team. And I think honestly, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the conversation around the Bills wide receiver core isn't like who do we want? It's how many do we want?
Yeah.
Like I'm probably just gonna have two at least of all of these guys, and especially, dude, Gabriel Davis is 1,800.
I know.
Like he could end up with a random bullshit touchdown.
I know.
He's been getting love as of late, right? Like
I mean, Gabe Davis. Yeah, he's I have a ton of Gabriel Davis in best ball. I love him. I love every one of these guys. Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley 6,600. Emmanuel Sanders 7,400, Gabriel Davis 1,800. Even Isaiah McKenzie at 200 I'd consider playing, but I don't think I need to because of all the value we already have. But I agree with you, man. You could get 2 or 3 of these dudes in a lineup mixed up with Josh Allen somewhere. And if you do get more than 2 of these guys, just put Josh Allen at captain. You know what I mean? Just put him at captain because he's going to capture all those points. I think you can choose any of these guys. And look, I actually am not scared to face Stephon Diggs in some of these builds. Like if you go Josh Allen, Cole Beasley, and Emmanuel Sanders, like that's kind of a like lower owned stack if you had to.
And you know, you take away the Jets game, it's not like Stephon Diggs is doing anything spectacular this year. He had 2 touchdowns last week, and that only got him to 18 fantasy points.
Yeah.
So it's something to keep in mind. And again, I don't want to get too narrative crazy, but I don't think anybody's going to play Manny Sanders.
Yeah.
Manuel Sanders could go off. The dude is still Manuel Sanders. We know what he's capable of. And I don't know that the Saints defense has much to contain. And again, narrative stuff here, this really isn't measurable, but they got their asses beat. They're supposed to be one of the top 3 teams in the NFL. They got their asses beat on Sunday, and they got run all over. Like they gave up a historic rushing performance.
Yeah.
I don't expect that to happen again.
No.
I expect them to come out with a chip on their shoulder, unless Buffalo really just isn't that good.
They're going to come out swinging, dude.
Yeah. I could see the opening play just an absolute bomb to one of these players. Yeah. By the way, Gabe Davis is under 10% on initial ownership projections.
I like Gabe Davis as a low-owned guy that you want to throw in to be different with Josh Allen, a captain, because he's going to be super high owned there. So any of these guys, you're right. The question isn't whether to play them; it's how many to play. Because I think like 2 at minimum, almost. You know, I really do. All right.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And I honestly think while we're on this topic, like 4, I'm all in on 4 Buffalo players. At worst,
I'm not getting crazy today.
At worst, you do a 2-4 with Tony Jones at captain and Simeon in the flex, and then I'm serious though, and then just stack in all the Buffalo guys. All right, so let's go to the other side, which is not going to be too fun to talk about. But look at this. Ty Montgomery is actually getting the highest projection. This is sorted by projected points. So Ty Montgomery, they know what's going on, just like what we talked about. Ty Montgomery is going to get involved in other ways, especially in the backfield. So he's projected over a lot of points. Ty Montgomery, I mean, damn, how could you not want to play him too?
That's crazy. RG has the exact opposite.
Yeah, well, I don't trust them. I really don't.
No, I honestly agree with you when it comes to showdown projections.
Yeah, well, maybe main slate it's better, but showdown, I'm trusting Osimo on this one. Traquan Smith is the number 1 guy. Look, Marquez Callaway was all the buzz this year, and I avoided him like the plague at the beginning with best ball and season longs. He had 1 good game in preseason. I mean, that's it. This guy literally a few years, like last year or a few years ago, he was like number 4 wide receiver on this team. I don't think he's a bad player at all. He has upside. I think he can absolutely score in this game. But Traquan's the guy. Traquan's 5,800. Marquez Callaway 5,200. Then you got Deontay Harris at 2K. You got Kenny Stills at 200. I don't dislike any of these guys. If I had to rank them, I'd say actually Marquez Callaway would be the lowest on this. I mean, that's just me.
Yeah, Marquez Callaway seems to get love when everybody's hurt. That's the one thing that I've noticed. I don't mind. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't mind. Like RG has these guys pretty evenly projected: Smith, Callaway, and Deontay Harris, which I don't entirely disagree with. Traquan Smith's going to have a fun matchup with I believe it's Tre'Davious White. Tre'Davious White's one of the best corners in the league. But again, I don't know enough about the Saints offense to understand how they line him up in at the wide receiver position. I don't think he's playing flanker 100% of the day. I think he comes out of the slot and stuff. So I definitely think that Traquan Smith is going to be a guy you can get some exposure to. But based on what I'm seeing for these initial ownership projections too, though, like, dude, you just got to pick a guy. Like, you're going to have to get some raw points from these. And so, like, pick a guy. And honestly, just based off, kind of to your point about Callaway, I think he does get a bump down, especially out of these top three. I think he's ranked third, right? You go Traquan and then Deontay Harris.
Yeah, Deontay Harris, bro. Yeah.
He's $2K. Like, I don't know how we're supposed to spend our salary today. We're going to end up with a lot of probably Josh Allen captain and Stephon Diggs captain because there's no reason to do anything stupid.
There's no reason to go lower than that. And the only typically why we would go with these suboptimal captains, obviously ownership, but you're wanting to fit in. You're needing that salary in the flex. We just don't need it today. So why do anything crazy? All right.
Yeah.
Look, Kenny Stills is a good option, $200. Deontay Harris. The reason why I brought up Marquez Callaway, I don't think he, talent-wise, is the worst out of these guys. He might be the best, but that price tag, $5,200, I don't, like I said, like Deontay Harris, I'd rather get Deontay Harris for $3,200 cheaper. And don't sleep on Ty Montgomery, guys. Just don't do it. It's a little bit risky. It's definitely more risky than Tony Jones. But Ty Montgomery,
I don't know, bro. $200, man.
$200. He's getting his median projection is the top on this team as far as wide receivers go. There's a reason for that. All right, let's move over to tight end. So Adam Troutman, I went out this season and got a lot of Adam Troutman in best ball and season long. I bought a bunch of his Panini cards, but his RPAs from a few years ago. That hasn't done well for me. Although he did start to do well last week, but he sacrificed his life in that game, and now he's out for who knows how long. Juwan Johnson at $200, Nick Vannett $200, and Garrett Griffin, which I honestly don't know who the hell that is. Juwan Johnson, I think, is an option at $200. I mean, who's pricing this shit? I don't understand. Why are these guys all $200? The starting tight end is $200. I don't understand.
Yeah, bro. So I was just playing around with some builds just based on some of the value that we see right now. First of all, we can do whatever we want on this slate. But yeah, dude, Juwan Johnson, he has a game where he's technically like a wide receiver tight end hybrid. I think we talked about this a while ago, but he has 3 touchdowns on the year.
He had 2 touchdown game against Green Bay.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm fine with him. I'm probably going to play some of him. Nobody is going to be playing these tight ends. This is an interesting situation, right? I know we keep coming back to the pricing, but look at raw points and guys that you think are going to score touchdowns. It's wide open. You can do literally whatever you want, and you're going to have Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Trevor Siemian, if that's what you want for your core, even Tony Jones.
Yeah.
So getting different is going to require playing a guy like Juwan Johnson at 5% ownership because he can go out and get 2 or 3 touchdowns. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but you got to get crazy here. And with that said, Nick Vannett is not a terrible tight end. We played him before in all kinds of situations. Now, again, I don't know if we need to be that risky.
Yeah.
Juwan Johnson's probably going to be the starting guy and get a volume of the snaps, but Vannett can go out there and get a couple goal line targets. We've seen it. I think he was on the Steelers last year, and then before that, he was doing some stuff in Seattle, right?
Yeah.
So it's another guy that we've seen a little bit of. And what do we say about shitty quarterbacks? They love their tight ends. Get something that's somebody with soft hands, it's going to catch an easy throw. So
and it's an island game. It's a showdown game. Tight ends get a boost for whatever freaking reason. I don't know why.
This year specifically.
So look, these guys are options. Juwan Johnson is my favorite. But when I say favorite, I use that term loosely because you just might not need to play them. I mean, Tony Jones and Ty Montgomery, those are the guys that you want to focus on. You might be just, there's a difference between being contrarian and stupid. And I think maybe playing Juwan Johnson over Tony Jones is probably stupid, just from volume-wise. All right. Who's the other team? Here we go. Buffalo. Dawson Knox, $8K. And Tommy Sweeney, $400. I don't even think we're going to talk about Tommy Sweeney. Look, Dawson Knox is dangerous. He's the kind of guy that'll break a slate at low ownership. And at 8K, he's priced up enough that maybe his ownership will come in a little bit lower. But look at this. Against Indianapolis last week, he had 10 targets for 6 receptions and 80 yards. Look at this touchdown output this year. He's got, 5 touchdowns? Not too bad. Not too bad. He has a stretch there where he was all green from week 3 to 5. I think you can't forget about Dawson Knox in a game like this. I think Emmanuel Sanders and Dawson Knox are the guys that may get forgotten about, and those are the guys who I think can actually break the slate.
Yes, I agree with you. I'm going to be playing Dawson Knox. Again, there's no salary restrictions here, so we're looking for high upside and probably solid floors. Those are the combinations that we're going to need in those last two spots that we're probably going to need to fill.
Yep.
I'm with you on this. I like Dawson Knox a lot.
Kickers. Kick his ass Seabass, 4K. Brett Maher. Isn't he a talk show host or something? 3,600. I mean, for New Orleans, I actually think that a kicker is a little bit more important in a matchup like this, just because of the limited amount of points that they may be able to score. Look, if Buffalo comes out and scores, 42 points, it's not Tyler Bass isn't going to get you there.
Right.
So if you think that they might struggle and end up with 27 and a couple field goals or something, then maybe. I just don't think you need him in a matchup like this, but Maher I might consider. I don't know that, honestly, Tyler Bass can kick you 50-yard field goals with his eyes closed, but I don't know that you need him. I might uncheck him just to get more leverage. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I don't think, honestly, I don't know if we need any of the kickers here. The spread is a touchdown. I expect that there's going to be some more line movement with the Mark Ingram news when he's officially ruled out. But I definitely expect that the Saints are really going to have to play from behind. Sean Payton's not really a guy that's going to sit there and keep kicking field goals to try and get back in the game. And neither is the Buffalo head coach. Was it Doug McDermott, starts for the San Antonio Spurs. Anyways, I don't. These are guys that you're probably going to get fewer attempts than you would normally expect, just from a more prototype NFL head coach. So I'm not looking too high on either of these guys. Now, if it comes down to like Devin Singletary or Tyler Bass, probably going to lean a little more towards Tyler Bass, just because I don't trust anything coming from the run game.
Yeah,
but. I don't know, man. Now, here's one thing to note. Again, initial ownership projections have these dudes around 10%. If that's the case, sure, why not take a flyer here or there? But I don't expect either team to really need to kick field goals. If I'm prioritizing one, it'd probably be Tyler Bass, just because Buffalo should be ahead, so they'll be more likely to settle within field goal range.
Yeah, it's a good point. Let's go defense. I don't think that the Saints defense, I mean, we've seen crazier things. Whenever I say, there's no chance the Saints defense score well, they may come out and have 2 pick sixes. I mean, it's possible. There's no reason for me to get to them at 2,800. It's too much of a risk. And Bills defense, maybe. I'd consider them.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Bills defense. I think I might disagree a little bit more on the Saints. I'm not sure how risky it is, because remember, if Jacksonville can go up and hold them to 9 points and Josh Allen can strip sack, fumble recovery, and pick off Josh Allen, I think the Saints defense is a lot better coached, and they're going to have more opportunity to do stuff like that. At sub 10% ownership, I don't think it's crazy to grab 1 or 2 of them. Obviously, you might be able to get incredibly different by having Josh Allen at captain and then running it back with like Simeon, Tony Jones, and the Saints defense. Yeah. So something like that is probably going to be a really unique build. Especially if that's specifically banking on pick sixes, but I don't want to throw it out the window entirely. But again, like, we're under the impression this is a get right opportunity for the Bills. So, the Bills defense too, though, like they can come out here and crush. Trevor Siemian is still Trevor Siemian. Yeah. And this offensive line, if they can't hold back this defense, the Bills were crushing, bro. Against bad teams, they crushed. They allowed like 3 points in the course of 3 weeks. So this could be one of those opportunities too. I think both defenses are in play.
I really expect this to be like a 37-17 game or 42-17. Like, I just don't see how New Orleans can come out and win. I mean, their head coach makes up a little bit of that, and they're at home. They get some of that energy from the crowd, but it's not enough to overcome a terrible roster at this point and injuries that you just can't overcome. All right. So let's talk about our fades.
No!
So Ellie is doing his typical no. Hey, I hear you. There's really no reason to go out of your way to fade a specific person, generally speaking, for your portfolio of lineups. But for me, I'm just going to be careful. This is more of a warning to everyone watching. Just be careful with the Bills running backs. If you have a hunch and you want to go over the field on some of them, it could pay off. But because this team is favored, they might want to run the ball a little bit more in the second half, and you're gonna have to figure out which guy is getting the ball. So that's the hard part. If this was just one running back, then yeah, I'd be a lot more interested. But it's not. So we should be careful with that. All right, let's look at our captain play here, crowning their ass.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
Ellie, you're going with Josh Allen. I'm going with Diggs. And the only reason I didn't pick Allen is because you picked Allen.
Yeah.
But look,
if you would have gone Allen, I would have gone Diggs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is just the way to do it. I think you can, if you're doing a lot of lineups, you can get a little weird, maybe with a Dawson Knox or a Tony Jones or a Traquan Smith or something like that, just in case if one of those guys goes absolutely off, like we saw Austin Eckler go off or Jonathan Taylor. But there's no one on the Saints that's that good,
Right.
So I think if anybody can do that, it can be Allen or Diggs, and maybe I'll mess with a little Emmanuel Sanders here or something. But generally speaking, I'll probably have about 100 lineups tonight, and I'd say 80% of those will go to either Allen or Diggs, maybe even 90%.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Like the problem is the point discrepancy between Allen, Diggs, and the next highest owned. When you have them in that 1.5x spot, it's a lot to overcome, and because the salary is there 100%. Even playing a guy like Tony Jones, he still has to rush for 120 and 2 touchdowns to be the optimal.
Yeah.
Just because you can pay for literally anybody on this slate. Otherwise, it'd be perfect to throw Tony Jones in there if we still had all these expensive dudes.
And speaking of that, so Tony Jones at captain is a little risky because you're right. There's no guarantee that all the studs are going to go off. That's basically what you're banking on. And you're also banking on that Tony Jones can have an above average game, if not to be the optimal captain. So here's in our lineup build, this is the optimal lineup here so far.
Jesus.
So Tony Jones is at captain. And look, you've got Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, Trevor Siemian, Stephon Diggs, and Allen. Now that's a sexy build, don't get me wrong. But can we for sure say that Sanders, Beasley, and Diggs will have a ceiling output, or at least have a good enough game that they'll all be in the opto? Maybe. Might not be worth it for me to put Tony Jones at captain.
I'm actually kind of interested in this lineup, to be honest with you, just because I don't think many people are going to run Diggs, Beasley, and Sanders in the same. With your only run backs being Simeon and Tony Jones, I might actually be willing to take a stab on this lineup.
All right, I'm going to save it. We're going to play this lineup. Screw it. You guys play this with us, and we'll see what happens. All right. So before we go any further...
We don't just talk here. We play these lineups. We build with you.
We're building these lineups. I'm saving them, and I'm actually playing all these lineups. We're not just telling you guys what to do. We're actually doing it. So speaking of that, before we move on, guys, before we build the next lineup, just go ahead and help us out with a subscribe. If you like our content, comment down below. Tell us who you think the optimal captain is going to be. Tell us who you think the best value is going to be. And also, while you're there, go ahead and subscribe. It'll really help us out. All right, so Josh Allen. Let's do some weird Josh Allen lineups, right?
Let's do it.
All right, so like we said before, we're gonna lock Tony Jones. We're gonna lock Allen, and do we want to do Simeon here as well?
Yeah, and then throw in Diggs.
Let's do Diggs. This is like, I'm comfortable with this as a core, and maybe switch Simeon out with somebody else. But I think this is a solid core here, and then you just rotate these other two positions. That we got 9,100. We can do whatever the hell we want. What do you think?
Yeah, man. Let's see. Let's throw in Cole Beasley. What does that put us at?
It puts us at 2,500 remaining, and that gets us Deontay Harris. That gets us Gabriel Davis. I mean, it gets us anybody. It definitely gets us Ty Montgomery.
Yeah. If you do Ty Montgomery, you can go from Beasley up to Dawson Knox.
Yeah, so this is what I was saying earlier, is I'm not afraid to put Ty Montgomery and Tony Jones in a lineup together, especially if you match them with your quarterback. Because now we can get Dawson Knox, and even if you take, and let's just say you wanted Simeon out, you could probably get Emmanuel Sanders too. This is a sick lineup. I already have this saved.
Yeah, I think I saved it.
Oh, you saved it. Okay.
That's the one I was building this. That's the one I told you was really interesting while I was building. Like, bro, like that's what I'm saying, bro. And we still have 900 on the table, and I am 100% comfortable with this lineup. If say so, let's do this real quick. Let's come off Diggs. Let's go to Cole Beasley.
Okay. All right, 60.
And then let's try and prioritize somebody instead of Ty Montgomery. Let's prioritize someone from the Saints.
Traquan
sure.
or Taysom.
Yeah. I mean, look,
one.
this is still perfect. I love this. I'm 100% fine with this build.
Yeah.
Just save that shit and then do the Taysom and save that one.
Too. Yeah, exactly.
We'll just build our lineups together today.
Yeah, exactly. This is how we build, though. I mean, honestly, this is the funnest for me. This is the fun way to build. Also, you can do Marquez Callaway here too, which will save that too. All right.
I mean, so this is an opportunity where you have the core and rotate the pieces in. We're probably going to end up tying, guys. Like, let's be honest. This is going to be a day where you split a little bit. You're going to be tough pressed to get unique.
Yeah.
But I think we're fine. Like, let's see. Throw in who did we have? Throw in Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, let's do that. That's going to be a guy that can get you different. So we've got Tony Jones, Simeon, Johnson with Allen at captain. Leaves us unlimited amounts of money. You could go Diggs, obviously.
Dawson Knox.
and Dawson Knox. I mean, look at that.
I really like that lineup.
Saved.
And if you don't like Knox, you can swap out for Beasley. You can swap out Diggs. Again, there's too much salary.
If you're building, let's just say you're building 60 lineups. If this lineup will not make it into your builds because you're leaving 2,300 on the table and the median projected points just aren't going to get crunched in there. It's just a calculator. It's not. It doesn't know anything besides what you tell it to do. So that's why I kind of like hand building on these because I can now here I'll go down from Cole Beasley. I can go down from Cole Beasley to somebody else. I can go down to Traquan or Taysom. It's so much easier to do. Do we want to build with somebody else here?
I mean, we can. We'll just show you real quick. So we'll just start with the Diggs, and then we'll just show you that we don't need to do any more lineups because it's going to be the same damn thing.
It's the same thing, yeah.
So now we throw in Simeon.
Allen, Tony Jones.
Yeah. Diggs. Oh, we already got Diggs. Throw in
Sanders.
Manny Sanders. We haven't done a lot of him.
1,900. That gets us Gabe Davis as a flyer. No one's going to have Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
Or just go all the way down to Ty Montgomery.
Yeah.
You're leaving 17 on the table. Not a lot of people are going to have this lineup. They're just not. And is it an amazing lineup? Maybe. I mean, it's scary to have Ty Montgomery and Tony Jones, but these guys are going to get most of the volume at running back.
Right. And guys, the key to this is, remember, this slate isn't priced for the news that we have. So we have to determine who we think is going to eat up that Mark Ingram volume. Alvin Kamara is out, right? Mark Ingram can absorb some of that volume, which we saw on Sunday. But this is a dude who sees 94% of the playing time. He's on the field all the time. He's getting 30, 35 touches, right? So that's going to be spread out. You just got to figure out where you think it's going. Ignore the price and think who you think is going to be the highest guy. This
is a great slate. This is one of my favorites we've done because the pricing doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter at this point. Don't be afraid to play Taysom Hill a little bit. Lock Tony Jones Jr. in the flex. That's what I'm doing. And hey, if it bites me in the ass, a guy that's $600 that gets me 4 fantasy points or something. First of all, he would have to get injured or something.
And he's going to be the chalkiest player on the slate. If he's not, then I don't know.
Then what am I doing wrong? We should just quit this show. If people aren't playing him as one of the most popular players in the slate, then I don't know. Maybe I don't know what we're doing wrong. What I mean? Or maybe we're doing something right and everybody else is stupid. I don't get it. I don't know. So who's the low-owned guy that you think can score here?
I actually kind of like Juwan Johnson now that we're talking about it, man.
Yeah. I'm going with Ty Montgomery. I think Ty Montgomery gets a touchdown and or Taysom.
That's fair.
I think so. What's your prediction on the final score here?
41-17.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Let's just screw it. I'll go 45-21. We'll get a garbage time touchdown from the Saints. And look, if the Saints come out and absolutely whoop ass, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'll be screwed when it comes to fantasy because I'm not building for that at all. I guess
not
that's
really,
true.
bro. Because Tony Jones, I mean, we're gonna have all of the Tony Jones, and all the Josh Allen at captain. So Josh Allen's gonna have to throw to keep him in. I don't know, man. That might actually work out better.
You're right. All right, thanks, guys. Help us out with a subscribe. Also, we have a free Discord if you guys want to hit us up on that, and follow us on Twitter. Take it easy.